What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web war fanatic, and today I got a really fun video for y'all. So we'll be going down the history of Peter Parker Spider-Man in Marvel Champions and the community perception over this hero, and basically how strong people think that he is. Spoiler alert: people did not think Peter Parker Spider-Man was a very strong hero, but I think that is finally changing right now. Yeah, so let's go and jump into it. So the first thing that I have is this Reddit post that I made 2 years ago, making the claim that Peter Parker Spider-Man is an S tier level, super powerful hero. And my criteria has always been the same thing, which is a hero's, max potential and how strong they are with every weapon at their disposal, right? So then I say here, Spider-Man can defeat every single villain on expert mode, very consistently. And a lot of people kind of misconstrue that and say that I only care about the top three villains. Well, yes, the top three villains, Expert Magneto, Expert Venom Goblin, and Expert Ronan, do weigh in the most because that's where the variability, has the biggest impact, right? So, like for example, if you compare like Spider-Man to let's say like Doctor Strange, well, both of them, in my opinion, can beat Expert Rhino if you have like a good deck for both heroes with a 100% win rate. So there's not real much point for me to like evaluate them compared to Rhino, right? Sure, Doctor Strange probably beats Rhino more easily than Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's never gonna lose against Expert Rhino. So it's like, what's the point of doing that, right? So I do weigh in every single villain, but the top three have the most of an impact, right? So like, if there is a hero that has like an outlier, like Deadpool is my favorite example. Deadpool struggles against Ultron a lot, in my opinion, because of the concussive blast, which can just kill Deadpool if he's an alter ego and has one hit point left, right? So even though Deadpool, may be able to defeat the top three villains like Expert Magneto, Expert Ronan, and Expert Venom Goblin more easily than some of the other, S tier heroes, because he struggles with so many like niche situations, like with Ultron. He also struggles with Magneto as well, and a little bit of Ronan, but he can just rush Ronan down so quickly that it doesn't really matter. Even though Deadpool can handle those top three villains more easily, because of his struggle with certain other villains, he's an A tier level hero for me, right? He's just not a top tier hero in my personal opinion because he has too many weaknesses, right? So for a hero like Peter Parker Spider-Man, the three most difficult villains, in my opinion, are Expert Magneto, Venom Goblin, and Ronan for Spider-Man. And the three most difficult villains for like a hero like Doctor Strange is also Expert Magneto, Venom Goblin, and Ronan, right? So since they both share the three most difficult villains, I think that that's where the most weight's going to come in whenever we're evaluating how strong they are. And I think for 90% of the heroes in Marvel Champions, the three most difficult villains will be that same big three, right? So that's why I weigh that more in. But I do factor in every single villain whenever I'm calculating how strong a hero is, at least just my personal evaluations, right? Okay, so in this post here, I said that, obviously tier lists are subjective, but with this criteria here, I think that Spider-Man is S tier despite his lack of thwarting. And then I have, videos, proving, my concept where he beats Venom Goblin, Ronan, and Magneto here. And with the exact same deck, I built this deck for Ronan, but not really for Venom Goblin or Magneto, and it still beat those tough scenarios, right? So I asked you guys here, can we change the community perception of Peter and revere him as one of the strong heroes, like with Doctor Strange and Spider-Ham? And then here's the community perception here. So I think you may be underestimating the capabilities of other strong heroes. I suspect that Spider-Ham and Doctor Strange can not only accomplish similar feats as you're having with Spider-Man, but can do so with less optimized decks. I mean, I agree that Spider-Ham can accomplish a lot of similar feats, but not Doctor Strange, right? I have a bunch of Doctor Strange playthroughs on my channel, probably over 10 now, and I played against, Expert Venom Goblin, Expert Ronan, and you guys can see with those leadership builds with Doctor Strange how he can struggle. How, if Ronan gets lucky with a piercing hit, he would just like pierce off the tough from Doctor Strange and just kill him in one hit, right? Like, there are ways for Doctor Strange to get defeated. And this Marvel Champions player right here, I mean, he definitely like hit it right on the head. If you have double the play hours on Spider-Man as you do anyone else, I have probably more than double the play hours on Spider-Man than anyone else. So, it could just be me, being biased and playing Spider-Man a lot more and getting better at him. And then they also say, using allies to cover thwarting as your deck has 8 allies is a great idea, but tons of heroes can do the exact same thing, especially in solo. Well, I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that because I think that the economy for Peter Parker Spider-Man is so much greater than most other heroes that he can more easily get those allies down. Because some heroes can actually struggle playing allies and do other things in the same turn. But yeah, generally they do like Spider-Man, but other heroes like Strange, Angel, Hand Miles, and Domino are a lot better because they can win at the same rate with more decks and more aspects. So at this time too, I also want to say a lot of people were commenting things like Spider-Man's only good in solo, in justice, or in leadership, and that he can't really do anything in protection and aggression, at least in true solo, right? In a multiplayer account, I mean, definitely just, weaker heroes become a lot better, so no one's really making an argument that Spider-Man isn't good in protection in multiplayer, but, that was a big sentiment about, true solo, how strong he is there. They also say here that I really like Villain Theory's tier list because when he labels a C tier as excellent, I think that's accurate because 60% of the heroes in the game are really excellent, and then when built properly, they can succeed. I definitely agree with that. And it's really funny. I'm gonna actually go over Villain Theory's, new video here because he made a revised video, and that's actually kind of the main reason why I'm making this video because I think Villain Theory is very, very knowledgeable on the game, and he always says he's not an authority in the game. I take his opinion as kind of an authority in the game. So yeah, we're gonna go look at his video after we do all this. I think that really gives me some type of like affirmation of Peter Parker Spider-Man really being an S tier level hero, or like at least one of the strongest heroes in the game. Here's a comment here from Scared White Kid. Huge shouts to him. I love having conversations with him. They're always very interesting. And he's always respectful as well. So, he's a very nice guy. I really enjoy your playthroughs. You certainly know your Spider-Man. But I think what you're saying is through the lens of you being an expert with Spider-Man. And then he says that, I played the same deck, which I did. It says Spider-Man isn't S tier because he can't do it freely between all aspects. I think that is a fair point, but we'll go a little bit, later on about how I show that in every single aspect, Peter Parker Spider-Man is still a top tier level hero and can defeat, almost every single scenario, if not every single scenario, across all the aspects, right? So I do want to show the aspect of versatility here. Here's a comment here from 16 Night Seeker. Huge shouts to him. We also have a lot of cool conversations about, Marvel Champions, and I know that he's also a huge Spider-Man fan. He also made a really cool protection deck for Spider-Man, but he cannot objectively rank him as a top hero in the game. We've actually recently talked about that, and I think he's actually changing his mind on that. But yeah, he says here, this is like 2 years ago, there's a clear distinction in parallel between someone like Strange and Spider-Man. You can't slap Spider-Man into any aspect and be as consistent as Strange or impact the field in a similar way. We're gonna go over that in a little bit. But yeah, although Spider-Man is a solid hero, he's just not what the other heroes are able to do. This is kind of what he's saying here. Here's a comment here from Dragonov. He says, "Don't get me wrong, I think Spider-Man is pretty good, but for me to be in S tier, you need to have all these things here." And I think that is definitely fair. And the point of showing this thread here is just that everyone is pushing back on the idea of Spider-Man being in S tier. No one thinks he's like a top tier level hero. He's good, he's solid, he's just not able to do everything in every single aspect. So, that's what really limits him. His storing is not good, right? So yeah, that is kind of the perception here. So we're jumping over to a different post I made, this one from 1 year ago. Once again, Spider-Man is S tier, and then now I'm showing Expert Venom Goblin with no aspect cards. So this was whenever I built an all basic deck here for Peter Parker Spider-Man to defeat Expert Venom Goblin using no aspect cards. And basically by doing so, I wanted to prove that with any aspect card, the deck is better, right? Basically, I'm limiting myself with a limited card pool by not having any aggression, no protection, leadership, or justice cards. And if you add any of them in, the deck becomes better, right? I'm limiting it by not putting the aspects in there, right? So I just put one protection card, and now it's a protection deck, and it's a better deck as well because I have access to like a powerful card that I otherwise was not able to use. So being able to defeat Venom Goblin, with no aspect card shows that Spider-Man is good in every single aspect, right? Because he has that versatility across every single aspect. Here's the first comment here from Jeremy. Huge shouts to him. I love having conversations with him about Marvel Champions as well. So he says here, I'm still not entirely sure I agree with, S tier for Spider-Man, but you make convincing arguments that he is at the very least not B tier, where he is commonplace. So, at this time, every single content creator, almost every single tier list puts Spider-Man Peter Parker in the B tier, just like, right in the middle of the pack, like a solid hero. And I'm like, he's just way better than that. And I'm trying to tell everyone that. Next comment here from Takabrash. He says, Spider-Man is great, and Gray was super strong for Web Warriors. Lots of people complain how many basic cards were in so many decks during that cycle. And yeah, he wants to play more Spider-Man. Highly recommend it. Spider-Man's awesome. And that leads to the next comment here. It says, no, Spider-Man is not S tier. That basic Web of Life and Destiny package, is overpowered. You can slap the exact same kit, from Black Panther to Star-Lord, and it'll beat expert villains. So at the time of this video, I was getting a lot of pushback because of that, really powerful basic Web Warrior package. And a lot of people were saying that it actually wasn't Peter Parker Spider-Man doing anything, but the basic Web Warrior package that's so powerful, with all those Web Warrior allies, because the Web Warrior trait is one of the strongest traits in the game. And that was what carried Spider-Man. Well, after that, as a proof of concept, I played Peter Parker Spider-Man, in aggression without the Web Warrior package. I played him in protection without the Web Warrior package, and was still able to defeat Expert Venom Goblin on the first try. And if he can do that with Expert Venom Goblin, I know that he can do it with 9% of scenarios, in Marvel Champions. So even across multiple aspects, without the Web Warrior package, I think that Peter Parker Spider-Man is all that. He can really do anything. So here's a comment here. Are you just trying to convince everyone that Spider-Man is S tier? Yes, I am. But it just really pains me whenever my favorite hero, people are underrating him by so much, which is why, my channel started with, dedicating playthroughs of Spider-Man to show that he is not, that weak of a hero. He can actually, stand on his own, especially in true solo. So that a lot of people that also love, Peter Parker Spider-Man can really play him and enjoy him in Marvel Champions. And then they also say here that basic cards are basically an aspect at this point and a really strong one. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think that's kind of missing the point, and that if you were to put in an aspect card, from any aspect, it would just make the deck better, right? Like if you put in Jocasta from protection in a basic deck for Spider-Man, it's already better because now you can have access to backflip, right? If you put in like a combat training from aggression in a basic deck for Spider-Man, it's already better because now he has access to upgrade where he can get +1 attack. Just adding any aspect card makes the deck better. Next we have a comment here from Sven. Huge shouts at him, really nice guy. I respect what you are doing and fully support your love for Spider-Man. But you can be Venom Goblin with a ham sandwich if you play a deck chock full of allies. I definitely think that Spider Ham, can defeat Venom Goblin with a deck full of allies. It says here that 1/4 of your cards are allies in that basic deck that I was using. And they're web warriors to boot. So like others pointed out, what you've shown here is the power of the mix of the right basic cards, which is fine. And I'm sure Spider-Man carried his weight, but if you really wanted to prove Spider-Man's power as a hero, you need to play him with a bunch of underpowered or even blank aspect cards and show how far that gets you. So I did play him with, not underpowered, but, powerful aggression cards and powerful protection cards without the web warrior package. But right here with the blank aspect cards, I don't agree that that is a good evaluation, because obviously you'll always be using aspect cards when you're playing with a hero. Whenever there's this arbitrary limitation set by the community, I don't think it's a really fair way to evaluate how strong a hero is. And this is a little bit of a side tangent, but Sven also says here, I argue Strange could take Venom Goblin with 25 blanks, something I highly doubt that Spider-Man can do. To defend him, he did personally tell me afterwards that this was a hyperbole, that he didn't really meant what he said. He was just being sarcastic, that he doesn't actually think that Strange can do this. But that being said, a lot of people actually meant it seriously. Not Sven, though. He didn't mean it seriously. Okay, we're finally going to jump over to my favorite part of this video. So those posts that we looked at was from over a year ago. This is now current day. And my friend Villain Theory has his final hero tier list right here, and he is going to evaluate Peter Parker's Spider-Man. To give you guys a little bit of a backstory, Villain Theory made this really awesome hero tier list, whenever he first started his channel, like I think like years ago. And I commented on him, a huge paragraph, saying, hey, please move up Peter Parker's Spider-Man. I really think that you're underrating him. And this is what Villain Theory says now in this new video, many years later.
And I was like, wow, I rated both of these characters way too low. And since then, Web Warrior Fanatic has got more and more popular. Another YouTuber who really likes Web Warriors, really likes Spider-Man, plays a lot of Spider-Man, has made a really strong case for Spider-Man Peter Parker being an S-tier character, which, if you were to ask me, 2 years ago, I would have said was just completely absurd. So looking to rank him, do I think he's S-tier? Do I think, for my tier list, I'd be putting him at ludicrously powerful? I think if I wasn't restricting, recursion with allies, maybe if we could play Moon Girl over and over and over again, maybe he genuinely could move up. But for me, I'm going to put him in immensely powerful. But I was close to putting him up there because I think he's going to end up towards the top of this tier, really knocking on the door of the top. I do think he is that good. So for our solo tier list, I am just going to put him in exactly the same place.
I do not have anything to add to that. Enough said by Villain Theory. And now we jump a little bit further into the tier list where he's going to be evaluating Doctor Strange. So I'm really excited to see this because a lot of people have Doctor Strange as the strongest hero in Marvel Champions. Let's see where Villain Theory now has him.
Genuinely, I think Doctor Strange being the top character, outdated, not true. And I think with modern challenges, with Steady and Stalwart everywhere, very controversially, I am going to sneak Doctor Strange down into the second tier. I just think there are things that can go wrong or not line up where other characters, it would be fine. People say, oh, Doctor Strange, all blank cards, you can totally win against anything, no effort. Absolutely not true. 1,000,000% not true. And, people are going to think Web Warrior's got to me, he's paid me off or something. But I would genuinely have a very well-built Spider-Man Peter Parker deck than a Doctor Strange deck if I just had one try to take on some of these very hardest villains. I just know it's going to work out more reliably and it's still going to be good enough to get me over the finish line. So it's on those grounds where, Doctor Strange, I think definitely feels more powerful, but my money is on actually in terms of winning more, losing less, particularly on the hardest stuff. I actually genuinely think Spider-Man Peter Parker is there now, particularly with all the modern cards for him.
Yes, I totally agree. Huge shots of Villain Theory. Thank you so much for his honesty. I highly recommend you guys go check out his channel and this tier list to get everything in the full context. I don't want to take him, out of context or whatever. Oh, he's doing the true solo.
This is not something that I think changes in solo play compared to two-player. If anything, I think Doctor
Yeah,
Strange.
behind Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for this video. Did I pay Villain Theory off? Did I send him 20 bucks through Venmo for him to put Spider-Man above Doctor Strange? Um, no comment. No, I didn't. I didn't. I promise. Villain Theory is someone that I highly respect, someone that is extremely knowledgeable in Marvel Champions. He put Spider-Man above Doctor Strange, not in his S tier. I mean, on the fringe of it. I mean, it's basically S tier. We just say it's S tier. It's probably like an S minus tier for him, right? And yeah, if you're getting to the game, just now and you're watching this video and you're like, what is he talking about? Peter Parker Spider-Man is always, S tier, A tier. He's always one of the strong tiers in the game of Marvel Champions. Well, it didn't always used to be that way. But now, with Vinder saying this, I feel like it's pretty much confirmed. Spider-Man S tier, I'm all here for it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video was, a little bit of a joke, guys. Please don't take this one too seriously, but I had a lot of fun making this. I thought it would be fun to go over, the history of Spider-Man, where he started, where he is now. And I think that he's a lot more respected by the community. And then a lot of people have him, as one of the top heroes in the game of Marvel Champions. So yeah, shout out to Peter Parker Spider-Man. Shout out to all the web war fanatics out there. Web war fanatics, unite. I'll see you guys all in the next video.